everyone, and welcome to the session about the blockchain and distributed ledger technology. This session that we will discuss about the use cases that we were already developed using the blockchain and FIWARE architecture. And we will also talk we have a small discussion panel here, so we'll go with that as well. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Preet, and I'm a technical expert and evangelist at the FIWARE Foundation. So as we all know that blockchain technology it's a most cutting technology, and it's already attracted high attention, and it's make worth to integrate with the system where we talk about transparency. Here we have a speaker, Joris Finck. He's worked as an innovation manager at IMEC, where he looked for the business side of innovation. He currently involved and lead the EU Horizon 2020 token project. Next to this, he worked with a multidisciplinary team at the IMEC of the City Flow Data Fusion model, providing the mobility expert with the insight on multi-model stream. And he holds a master degree in corporate finance from Kent University. Welcome, Joris. And apart from that, now we have Ignacio Gomez. He's a co-founder and CTO at the IoT and the data startup SensorWave. He is also in the co-founder of Digitanimal and into remote farming, where he worked as a full-time since 2014. He owns a master and PhD from the communication system from the Madrid Polytech University. And I would like to welcome Ignacio as well in this panel. Apart from that, we will have a small discussion panel. For that, we have Professor Luis Munoz. Luis is professor of telemetric engineering at the University of Cantabria in Santander, Spain. He has participated in several national and European research projects as a technical member of the Smart Santander. He has publication around 150 journal and conference paper, and serve as a consultant in a Spanish government as well as on the different companies in Europe and USA. And he also has served as an expert of the HC and European Commission. Next, we have Michel Nati. Michel Nati is a PhD and head of telco and infrastructure development of IOTA Foundation. And he lead a number of EU research innovation projects. And before the IOTA, he worked as a lead technologist of data and trust in a digital catapult. Next, we have Professor Constantinos Votes, and please excuse me if I pronounce your name incorrectly. So I'll call you Professor Votes. He is a senior researcher and blockchain team leader at the CERT, while he also a visiting professor at the University of Ulster in the UK, but also a visiting professor in University of Nicosia regarding the Internet of Future activities. He has a MSc and a PhD degree in computer science and service-oriented architecture from the Computer Science Engineering and Informatics Department from University of Patras, Greece. Next, we have Jesus Ruiz. He's a member of board of CTO of Alastria blockchain ecosystem, participated in various technical governance of EPSI, and which is a European blockchain service infrastructure from the European Commission, and also in the LockChain, which is a blockchain network promoted by the Inter-American Development Bank. He inspired the public permission model followed by those network, where decentralized governance and SSI are critical important. So I would like to welcome all of you and I'm very happy to see you all here in this panel. Now, I would like to call Joris to just give a presentation about the use case which he developed using the FIWARE ecosystem and using the blockchain technology, or he's developing. So Joris, floor is yours. Whenever you are ready, you can go ahead.
Thank you, Harpreet, for the introduction. Let me just open my presentation.
Yeah, sure.
That seemed to work in the lobby. but now I'm losing my my screen. So let me retry. Let me try again.
Maybe you can try to, click the button smoothly because it's very sensitive.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Seems like there's still some problem.
Technical issue indeed, yeah.
Yeah. So I will suggest, Joris, you just, maybe if you allow, then I will ask the next presenter to go ahead first, and then you can maybe, just try to fix it out, and maybe Kui and Charlotte can help you to get this fixed.
Joris, maybe you can share with me the presentation so I can bring it up.
Great.
Perfect. It's
So,
in the Google Drive.
Great. So till the moment that I'll call Ignatius to come and present here. Ignatius, floor is yours. You can go ahead.
Thank you so much, Hart. I'm going to share my screen if I can. Could you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Okay. Well. First of all, thank you so much for inviting us in order to present our use case. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ignacio Gomez, and I'm the CTO of SensorWeight and co-founder of Digitanimal. I'm here to present our project, Cattle Chain. I'm going to focus the presentation on the relative aspect of the project related to traceability and blockchain. The presentation will be at high level without going into much technical details. Cattle Chain project is a project in which SensorWave, Natrus, IDEL, and the FIWARE Foundation are involved. That's the screen. Okay. Now I'm going to give a brief introduction to the project. Nowadays, the European livestock sector is facing a set of complex challenges. For example, cost efficiency and productivity, aging and rural depopulation, and consumer demands. To overcome these challenges and to democratize the access to smart technologies by livestock farmers, we are developing Cattle Chain. That it is a disruptive solution to increase farm productivity and sustainability while promoting animal welfare. Cattle Chain will develop and implement a complete monitoring solution for cattle based on IoT wearables, artificial intelligence algorithms, FIWARE, Sentinel satellite imagery, and blockchain technologies. At the end, it will provide farmers with digested and relevant information on their animal status, health, location, feeding, and reproductive condition, while providing retailers and consumers with full traceability of the dairy or meat product they are selling or purchasing. Linked to this complex solution, we are developing an animal welfare series that will guarantee that the living condition of the animals meet a set of animal welfare standards. Okay. Cattle Chain is based on the following pillars. On one side, Internet of Things devices that collects data from the animals in the farm, but also during transport events. Basically, we are using three devices. That it is a collar that monitor the location and the activity of the animal, an AirTag that also help us to monitor the location, and several gateways that are installed in transport or in the feedlot. The second pillar is a FIWARE-based cloud platform where all the information is stored and harmonizes according with a set of data models, several data models. Also, in this platform, we are running several artificial intelligence algorithms that turns the raw data into insights. The third pillar is based on multi-user apps, where the different agents of the solution interact with the solution. The fourth pillar is the blockchain solution, the blockchain technology that help us to store not all the data, just the events generated, relevant events related with the things that happen in the farm. And the last one is the animal welfare seals developed by IDEL within the project that ensure that the meat and dairy product comply with the highest animal welfare standard without need to involve a certification body. The idea is that with the data generated by the devices and the algorithms, the algorithm processes this data in order to generate these animal welfare seals. Now I'm going to present two concrete examples of the solution that we are developing in the project. It is an introduction in order to present the traceability part. The first application is the monitoring solution to take the information of the animals in grasslands or during the breeding phase. In this case, the animals are equipped with IoT devices, collars and ear tags that provide location and activity of the animals. With this information, the algorithm generates a series of events and indicators related to animal health, welfare, reproductive status, animal feeding information, and everything. The relevant events related with this raw data is the events that are stored in the blockchain structure. Slightly going into the technical details, the IoT devices send information that comes into the content broker by an IoT connector. This connector transforms the raw data information from the device according to the animal's data model. This data model includes all the aspects necessary to model the animal and its conditions. The algorithm analyzes the raw data and updates the model accordingly. When a change of a parameter occurs, what we know as an event, this information is stored in the blockchain solution. From the farmer point of view, the solution is simple. They attach or install a device to an animal and have a user interface to operate with the system. We understand that the solution has to be simple. In order that the farmer operate it easily. Thanks to, at the end, the farm has an application when they can see the location of the animals, and with a color code, they can check the status of the animal. Thanks to this application, farmers can improve the profitability of their livestock up to 20%. At the same time, they improve their quality of life. The next example. Okay, the next example is focus on the growth phase of the animals. The meat production chain is based on a breeding period, as described in the previous slide, and a growing period. For this second period, we at Digitanimal, at cattle chain, have ear tags installed in the ear of the animal and several gateways that collect the information about growth, drinking behavior, feeding behavior, in order to make models that generate alerts for the farmers when an anomaly happens, or generate also animal welfare seals based on this information. In this case, the farmer is able to improve also his profit up to 50% and reduce animal losses by more than 20%. Okay, now I have to tell all about to put the traceability part in context. As I said in the introduction, the project addresses farmers, but also consumers. Within the project, we have created several meat marketplaces with traceability information from farm to farm. Through these marketplaces, when consumers buy a meat product, they receive a QR code on the product, like the one shown in the picture, in this picture, in which they receive all the information about the life of the animal and the farm where it was raised. All this information is stored in the blockchain structure, ensuring its veracity and incorruptibility. These from farm to fork traceability meat marketplaces are being implemented in 5 farms, and thousands of kilos of meat products have been processed through it. It is already in the market. Okay.
Ignacio, you just have 1 minute left.
Sorry, Har?
You have 1 minute left.
Okay. What kind of information we show? On the one hand, we show commercial information provided by the farmer himself to facilitate the understanding of the product purchases. On the other hand, we show different certification generated by the solution also, and also livestock information with pasture typologies, fattening seed, etc., and information of the animal, where the animal was raised, and the processing center where the animal is turned into a meat product. To the date, more than 2,500 QR code readings have been made by consumers who have also rated the information provided with a satisfaction rate of more than 90%. So this is a very brief summary of a use case in which we are applying blockchain technologies in FIWARE together with IoT, and which is currently being commercialized in Spain. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Ignacio. That's look very amazing and seem that something good is coming up. That's great. Now I would like to call Joris again on this panel to present. I guess Kui will present your slides, right?
I'll try it first. Normally it should work right now. Apparently there was something wrong, but that should work. Let's see if we can make this happen.
We can see your screen now.
That's amazing news. All right, great. So I'll kick off.
Go ahead.
First of all, welcome. Thanks for the invitation. Glad that I can speak at this great event. Let me introduce myself. My name is Joris Finck. I work as a product owner for IMEC, a research institute focused on nanotechnology and digital innovation. We're not a commercial organization. We focus on learning and bringing back to the communities. With my team, we focus on dealing with wicked problems. Problems we define as many stakeholders that are involved and not one party is solely responsible for a problem. We research a problem, design and co-create a prototype, and we test it in real life. Tonight, I will be talking about a dynamic access to the city by using distributed ledger technology. I would like to take you to Belgium. Welcome to Belgium. It's a small country enclosed by 4 countries, the Netherlands, Germany, Luxembourg, and France. And today I will be talking about the picturesque city of Leuven, the city east of Brussels. It's a student capital of Belgium with 100,000 inhabitants. It's also home to brewery AB InBev, and the city has high ambitions. I have a question to Preet. I'm receiving like a sound through my presentation. Is that normal or?
I think that because your internet is a bit weak, I think. Could you please share the presentation again because it's disappeared?
Okay. What I propose then is indeed that Charlotte shares the presentation then.
All right, no problem.
Sometimes it happens with the technology that we expect it to work and sometimes it don't. Yeah, we can see.
Okay, great. Great. So I'll take you to Leuven, picturesque city, high ambitions. You can go to the next slide. City of Leuven has an objective to become climate neutral by 2050. One of these components of this objective is to evolve towards a more smarter city logistics. And in order to realize this, they want to evaluate the potential of technology, and in this case, more specifically, distributed ledger technology. We do this. We are building currently a prototype in the context of Horizon 2020 project token. Next slide, please. These are the different districts that you find in Leuven. With the purple zone in the middle is the historic and the pedestrian zone. You can't drive through it. You need to go by the outside ring road to go from one zone to another. Now imagine you're a logistics service provider and you are a transport company and you need to enter this part of the city. Then if you go to the next slide, you see what you see as a logistics service provider. You see in this image, you see 3 items. You can move to the next slide, Charlotte. And you will see a couple of elements. On the right-hand side, you'll see static rules written on a plate that indicates that you have windows times that you need to respect. And basically, you can only enter the city center between 6 and 11 o'clock in the morning. Then there is a visual indication that allows and that shares you, if you're allowed or not. And in this case, I'm not allowed because only the green light is lighted green, which is the bicycle. And then a bit further, you see an ANPR camera that is recognizing my number plate. So if I enter the zone outside of the window times, I'm going to be recognized and I get a big fine. So what is the problem with this? You can say, okay, Joris, what's the issue with this? And if you move to the next slide, Charlotte, then the logistics service providers today are driving half empty in and out of the city, which is causing increased congestion. And why are they driving around in and out of the city? Because they need to respect the window times. City of Leuven today has limited variables on which it can allow vehicles to enter the city center or not, because I just explained you, they have ambitions meeting the climate goals. So increased congestion isn't one of them. And next to that, the third one is logistics service provider transporters aren't rewarded for the effort they would invest in more sustainable solutions, like increasing load ratio or a green vehicle type or less transport miles, etc. Now, what is the solution that we came up with? If you go to the next slide, Charlotte, we've defined the dynamic access controller. Basically, it's a system that allows the city to grant additional access to a logistics service provider when it meets certain sustainability criteria. In our case, so in the case of Leuven, in the context of tokens, but you can see many different other use cases, we will focus on the delivery of local products, being a strategic measure of the city of Leuven in reaching their sustainability goals. Now, if you go to the next slide, this points in a very interesting topic here, because this increased level of service that the city of Leuven can provide is basically what is at the core of this project, because it can offer additional access to the city when a certain party meets certain criteria, but it also would increase the need for a middleman, a party that could control the validity of these parameters. And this is basically what is at the core of token, and we would like to experiment if we can use this DLT technology where it replaces the middleman. Instead of trust from the central party, we would like to go to trust in the ecosystem. And in this, this would lead to a trusted platform where an LSP is willing to share data by getting additional access, and on the other hand, where a city can trust the validity and the requirements are met. Now, where does FIWARE come into place? And I'll point down the next slide. Currently we use 2 FIWARE components. We use the Orion LD context broker. You can see it as our central point of access. So it stores information of producers, consumers. It entails delivery details. But of course, this type of information is not what we can store in a DLT, and therefore we take the Canis Major as the storage of transaction logs in a DLT. So, and there it's more specifically the change of an order that is being kept and is acting as the trusted source. Now, we're also evaluating Perseo and WireCloud to work with. Perseo would be our rule engine for access control, and then WireCloud could be the dashboard of visualization. For what I understood from our architect is that they aren't compliant NGSI LD compliant, so that's the reason why we're still evaluating. So this is what I had briefly prepared for this short introduction on the use case. Thank you for your attention. If you do have questions, do reach out. The components are now being set up. They will be tested in real-life conditions Q3, Q4 this year. I hope this session was inspiring to you. Do not hesitate to reach out. Bye-bye.
Perfect. This looked perfect, and you are always on time, I guess. And yeah, the use case seems quite promising, and we're looking forward to have some real implementation and look for the results in the future and see how it will work out. Great. So now I will like to start a discussion panel, and we will just first let me ask a question to Ignatius about the cattle chain project that he explained. You mentioned that you are getting the data from the different IoT devices, which means that a large amount of data across those devices is coming here from the collar that animal and farm has, and of course, it's very challenging to manage and manipulate and also process some information in a blockchain because you cannot throw everything there in almost in real time. So how are you doing it? How are you managing the data in DLT and also with the IoT in real time?
It's important to understand that, firstly, in our use case, the real-time information is not too much important because at the end, the traceability information is consumed by the consumer. So, for example, an event that happened in the farm probably happened several months ago. So there is no real-time need about the information, okay? So this is the first part. The second part is, as I said in the presentation, we have defined a set of events that are included in the data model. So just these changes, for example, animal welfare issue. An animal welfare issue that doesn't happen every day. It happens, for example, 1, 2, 3 during the lifetime of the animal. So at the end, there are not too much events to fit in the blockchain solution. Just few events per animal or per meat product.
Great. So I have a question for Joris. Joris, about your use case. So what are the benefits of this DLT system for the city? How do they react when working with the new innovative technologies?
I think the biggest benefit from the city point of view, and it's also the reason why they joined, is it allows them to deliver new service models towards other parties, and instead of being looked at as a party that is only restricting parties that are coming to their city by banning certain vehicle types to the city center, they're offering also a solution for it. So I think that's a very interesting aspect to it. How do they react? And I think there is an interesting learning for us as well as a research center. For them, it's a steep learning curve. Dealing with data, dealing with modeling, dealing with IT architecture. Of course, we are doing this. We are setting up the prototype, but at some point, we're also interacting with their systems. So I think they're positive. Their reaction is positive. They see it as an innovative technology as well, but there is a steep learning curve to be covered.
Yeah, that's true. When the new technology is coming up, when we see the potential about those technology, it's easy for user to adopt it, and that's true. Yeah, so I have another question for Jesus. You work with the public administration and all that. So I have a question that do you envision a wider adoption of blockchain technology within the public sector and the industry sector? And what do you think that would need to happen in order for a widespread adoption of blockchain, especially in public sector?
Well, what needs to happen, I think, is exactly what is happening right now. And the European Union is leading the way. And I'm not speaking about the cryptocurrencies and speculation and so on, but on the blockchain for the real economy and the real society. Okay, let me explain a little bit more. For most applications, you have three pillars, okay, three components. One is the blockchain infrastructure, which includes the network and the storage and everything, okay? Then you need digital identity. You need a digital identity because if you want to perform real economic activity, you need digital identities for natural persons, I mean for people, for juridical persons, businesses and other entities, and also for things. But for things, it's a little bit more less involved. This is just a technical thing, okay? But the other two types of digital identity, they have very, very wide implications. And so we need a third pillar, which is the governance and the regulatory framework. And exactly about this, about all of this, last Thursday, the European Commission announced several things which are interesting. First is the future availability of the European Digital Identity Wallet. So this is a wallet based on trusted digital identities provided by member states, which is intended to be available in the future, a digital identity wallet for enabling citizens to access both public services and private services across all the member states of the European Union. So this is based on eIDAS and is building on top of the blockchain and the verifiable credentials model, okay? And then this is not just a technical proposal because it is accompanied by a proposed regulation. This is just a proposal for a regulation, not only on the wallet, but also on electronic ledgers, that's the real name, regulating the infrastructure for several uses. It doesn't forbid the blockchain for any use, but it regulates that if the blockchain infrastructure follows some rules, then it can be considered as a trusted service provider, which is a new thing in the world, and this is needed. And then also it regulates, or is going to regulate, the trust services for attestations of attributes. You have your identity, and then some attributes, like for example, your diploma says something about you, about the pertinence of a club. So it regulates a new figure which didn't exist, and this is very important to eliminate the legal uncertainty which is already, or which was happening on public administrations. So this is just a proposal. The activities for doing this are already underway. This is based on the blockchain from EFSI, the European Blockchain Services Infrastructure, but this is then unlocking all the doubts and problems that public administrations had. So I expect that following this announcement, you will see a lot of public administrations starting to do real projects, because until now, they didn't, or they were not sure about whether this was the right path or not. Now they know.
That's right.
Because this is going to happen.
That's right. So you just consider the two perspectives about the public and digital identity. So now I would like to go with the Lewis about, he is also, his domain is into public sector. So Lewis, I have a question that what are the benefits of blockchain technology in government and the public sector, and what about the benefits for the citizens?
Yes, very concise. I think that Joris, during his presentation, let's say, tackle the important points. So trustworthiness. In most of the transactions between citizens and public bodies, either in the municipalities or in other contexts, usually there is the man in the middle, right? The man in the middle, not in the man in the middle in the sense as we manage in the cryptography world, but in the sense that always at the end there is a man who is making some kind of attestation about a transaction. What is creating this is some kind of, I don't know, untrustworthiness feeling. And the point is that the technology right now already allows that any transaction is managed in an aseptic way by relying, for example, in DLT technology. And I think that this is the great value that is bringing both for the public bodies, but also for the citizens themselves, right? Because in many situations, and quite often, we hear that, okay, I was there in the municipality, I did that transaction, but suddenly I don't know what happens. They are requesting me once more for that, otherwise there will be a penalty. So, with the technology, with DLT, we will be providing really the support for this trustworthiness from both perspectives.
Yeah, that's correct, and yeah, of course, that's play an important role for the identities, and with that we can identify the user. So here we have an expert, Professor Votes, who specializes and who's working especially for the digital identity area. So Votes, I have a question. That's this digital identity or verified credential using blockchain that is very hype and getting adopted very fast, but still it lacks in giving a backward compatibility for solutions such as SAM or OpenID Connect, that which we are already using, and or the way that we communicate the trust, for example, PKI or the strong encryptions. So the reality remains that until the security scalability and the operations issues are already noted by the respected expert to resolve. So how should we fill this gap for the user need?
Thank you very much for this question. Actually, as it was already mentioned, there are many attempts for European digital identity, verifiable credentials, and of course, all of these solutions, especially federated identity implementations that are happened and are coming, we can see that, of course, it doesn't mean that we need new protocols, or we need to focus on new implementations, or try to build some new solutions that firstly they have to identify new protocols and then should build these solutions. Actually, I think that all of the existing protocols and the issues that we have with the security and what they are offering actually right now, I think that we need to understand that all of these protocols that are appropriate and they can be used, I think that's a starting point, a good starting point. We can see implementations for federated identity with verifiable credentials, with OpenID, IDAS that was also mentioned. I think that all of these solutions they can offer, and I think that we are in a good moment through this verifiable credentials to have also and support cross-border digital identity and cross-border public services. So I think that all of these implementations and all of these protocols are in a good position in order to support cross-border public services, because I think that is very critical, especially for among the European members, and based on the information and the tools that are going to be supported and offered to European citizens. I think that it's very critical to understand that they will support and they will handle many issues that we have for cross-border services, especially when there are people that are moving from one country to another and they have to use different services, public services, or they need to access public services. So I think that all these implementations, all of these protocols, of course, are in a good position to support and ensure that we will not have any problems, any security issues in future.
Right, that's true. That of course there's still area of research is open to fill this gap, and it will soon that resolve. I hope so. Right. So now next I will go to Michelle. Michelle is from IOTA. IOTA and FIWARE is already working together in a few projects. And Michelle, I wanted to ask you like how we can make this distributed ledger technology scalable and usable for the developers and make it invisible for the end user, so that they can be adopted and new use cases we can see easily in the future.
No, thank you for the question. And I think the part of the answer is already in the question. Because I'm actually referring to distributed ledger technologies instead of blockchain. We have seen a lot of hype from the early years of blockchain and being used in different scenarios, especially combining with the Internet of Things, and scalability start lacking. And the main problem is actually the blockchain behind that. So blockchain are very energy consuming technology, especially those that are based on a proof of work. So the first thing definitely that we have to do, we have to reduce this amount of energy and computation, and we have to move from what is blockchain to what is actually distributed ledger, that basically all the same properties in terms of security, immutability of data, but have also a different focus, actually not only managing value transaction, transferring money, but also supporting the transaction and sharing of data. And this comes with an aspect that brings usability, because if you start to decouple the value transaction, transferring value, transferring money, transferring cryptocurrency from the data sharing using immutable data sharing using blockchain, you start to remove some of the friction that are present in other blockchain, like the fees, the fact that for using them, a developer need to establish and set up wallet first, load some token, and fund whether it's a smart contract or anything else with some extra effort and some extra tool. So despite of maybe the software tool are very advanced, there is a lot of setting and complexity going around. So we distribute a ledger and we are building the IOTA ledger with this principle in mind to be usable, scalable, removing fees. This become also much more close to the developer. The tools can always be developed in a user-friendly way, but the friction to access the technologies is much lower because you don't have to establish any other infrastructure like wallets and things like this. And this allows really people to have a transparent access, even final end users. So if final end user want to go back to what was discussed before, manage their own digital identity. So this digital identity doesn't need to be linked to a wallet that also not only store the identity and the credential, but has to store also some cryptocurrency to manage every transaction whenever you want to receive a new credential store and backed by the ledger. So you have to do some operation that is monetary requiring this kind of fees. So
Yeah,
without fees, I think we can make the overall tool much more usable, invisible to user, and easy to access from developer as well.
Yeah, great. So I have an open question to all. That can you elaborate that on like the very concrete use case in which you are piloting for the integration of FIWARE with the DLTs. So I will go with the Ignacio first. Ignacio, can you hear me? I guess he can not. I guess maybe he's a mute. So yeah, I will ask to maybe Michelle, like, yeah, you can go ahead and just say like what kind of use case that you are planning to pilot with the FIWARE and DLT.
Yeah, we are working on a number of use case, especially in the smart energy context. Basically, we are using the distributed ledger, and at the edge, the FIWARE, and the inside, let's say the core as well, connectivity of IoT device, but also data model from a smart energy, SAREF ontology, in order basically to build distributed peer-to-peer energy marketplace where new renewable source of energy can basically create and share this energy within neighborhoods and help the overall neighbor sustainability by sharing renewable energy across neighbors or different energy renewable energy source. So there we need definitely to characterize this energy source. We need to express how much energy they produce. We need to characterize also who want to consume energy like batteries, and we need to express how much energy they demand, and offer a marketplace where data are actually shared in a peer-to-peer way using a ledger that guarantees immutability using our IOTA ledger, and on top of that build the logic that allow to match better demand and offer in order to achieve this positive energy district like we call. So
that seems quite complex use case.
Yeah.
I'll ask the same question to Professor Lewis. What are the use case that you are trying to pilot with the FIWARE and DLT?
So based on the IoT infrastructure that we started to deploy 10 years ago here in the city of Santander, we have an enormous amount of data, either generated by the urban services, either generated by the citizens, and in general the different stakeholders making the city. So far the access to this data were basically managed through some kind of identity manager and security framework. But the main issue was that the use of the data by the first consumers and by other consumers was not able to be traced, and what was the specific use that on top of this data were made by these third parties, etc., was not able to follow. So the idea is that the fact that we are integrating DLT technology with our data marketplace will allow, let's say, to trace which is the use of the data, of course, to guarantee the sovereignty of the data, and to in the medium term, we will be managing, let's say, quality of service, and this will raise the opportunity for implementing the concept or the paradigm of smart contracts. So this is, I tend to say, the strategic path that we will follow in the next month.
Great. So yeah, so now we are running out of time, and yeah, it was a very good session. But now I would like to finish with a roundup and ask each of you to provide a strong final statement you wish to the audience to keep them with after this panel. So I will go with the Jesus and follow with the Votes and the rest.
Well, the strong statement is exactly what I said. I expect that the public administration and the private sector, because they are both together in solving the real problems for the real society, given the European lead, is going to start doing real applications very, very soon, because right now, the legal framework, which was completely needed, is already not yet finished, but we all see how this is going to be. And then I expect a lot of activity starting right now.
Great. Professor Votes, what do you say?
What I would like to add is that we need to understand how important are the blockchain technologies, especially the digital identities part, in order to be sure that the data that are being stored cannot be manipulated. I think that there are many technologies that can be used now in order to support cross-border digital services. As I can see that the blockchain can advance actually the digital services that are being offered in all the European citizens. So I can see that these technologies can be integrated and they can be offered to us in order to have these cross-border digital services through the DLT technologies.
Great. Joris, what about you?
I'm looking from the implementation part, of course. So my advice would be when experimenting with these new technologies, start small. Make sure that you evangelize, as you like to call it. I think also the technology. So start small and focus on the real problem.
Professor Lewis.
Just my recommendation once more, based on the fact that we work on with the foot on the ground. Just start with the foot on the ground in a quite realistic approach, step by step, and let's see what we will find in the next month once integrating the technology in the real world.
Great. Ignacio, what's your views?
I quite agree with Joris. I think it's better to start simple with a simple use case in order to grow up and make it bigger. And I hope this kind of technology could be implemented in the real solution quite soon.
Great. Michelle, we'll wait for your final statement, then we'll close the session.
Yeah. No, thank you. My final statement is that backing a bit what Jesus and Professor Botti said as well, that digital identities are very important for people, organization, but also for things. And it's something that is coming, maybe will come a bit later, but we need to trust also the device, especially in complex ecosystem or especially complex use case like e-health. So a digital identity of device and the centralized digital identity device is something we have to focus as well, our research and innovation interest.
Great. So yeah, it was a very great session and it was very nice talking to all of you. And yeah, I hope we'll see some new use cases, some potential integration with the FIWARE and the DLT technologies, and we'll keep growing. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, and have a nice rest of the day. See you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.